Whoa, buddy, you were getting so excited there. I was expecting to see some tassels going on there.
I was being a wild and crazy guy.
Good evening, fans. It is time for an evening of coffee with Alder. We're gonna have to do a special episode. Coffee with Alder.
There we go.
Look, there he is. Coffee with Alder.
He gets the gold star.
That's right. Gold star. Yeah, you win 1 million internet points. Don't spend them all in the same place and all at once. So what's happening, guys? Welcome to another episode of Indie Invasion Short, where we have coffee and talk about games and stuff. So what in the world are we talking? This is
jump right into it tonight, huh?
Well, this is kind of going off a little bit for us, though. So
it is, but I think it's
different.
I think we like to break boundaries, right? So let's go into something a little bit different, because there's a lot of people that listen to us that do these. I know one of our Patreon contributors, he's a big historical buff, and we're going to talk about historical games tonight. Sort of historical games, right?
Maybe
a little bit. Because talking about it just a little bit before we jumped on live, I told Mac, I was like, well, you know what? I think there's a lot of games I play that could be historical if you took the sci-fi out.
Oh, yeah. And I would like to point out, too, that I am wearing the rare unique Coastal Con, not Coastal Con, but the misprinted Coastal Con.
I don't even have one of those.
That's right. Unipolar Games. This one's for you, baby. He's
probably going, ooh.
Yeah, he is. He's like, Argh. So if you're just joining us, please pop into the comments, say hello. We would love to chat back and forth with you about whatever as we dive right into these historicals, because hysterical historicals. Now,
could make it hysterical.
You could. Have you ever played any historicals, and do you play any historical?
You know what? I'm shaking my head no, but just as I was doing that, I was thinking, you know what? I've played some straight up Western games. Like at Adepticon, I tried out Knuckle. I think it's made by Knuckle
Games.
Yeah, they make a straight up Western skirmish game that's a lot of fun.
Okay. That's all you got.
Other than that,
I don't have much either, but
does X-Wing count?
I mean, it was a long time ago, right? It was a long time ago, so maybe. No, I don't think. No,
I can't say that I have, other than like a Western, skirmish type of game. And there's a lot of different genres of historical games out there.
Right.
I think. You have to ask a question of why would somebody play a historical? And a lot of people, it's like they're drawn to that certain historical era.
Right.
And for me, I love Western. I love the Western time period. So that's probably why that's the one that I've played.
Right.
I'm not super interested in like ancient. You know what? I could probably say, what is the game? And I know you got miniatures, of course, of this, where you're playing in the Arena Rex. I guess could be considered also a historic, because you're playing gladiators.
Minus the Gorgons and
that's true. That's true. It does kind of have that.
I suppose you could limit what you brought to the table.
Yeah. And the strange gladiators.
Yeah, and keep it pretty historical, to a certain degree. Anyway, you could probably pull that off. So for me, I actually do play one historical game. Well, I guess technically it's two, but it's
I know one that I think you're gonna say.
Right, it's Wings of Glory.
Yep.
Right, and I say it's one, technically two, because I play Wings of Glory World War I and World War II. I prefer the World War I version, but I play both of them. So those I play actively. Now I have played Blood Red Skies. Really like the way Blood Red Skies works. It's dynamically very different than Todd says, who says the ancient Greeks didn't have real Gorgons? hey, maybe, I don't know. But so I really love Wings of Glory. It's a fantastic game. And Blood Red Skies brings a very different play style to the game, to aerial combat, but it's only World War II. And I do like it, but I don't have anybody here that plays. Whereas a game like Wings of Glory, I can play it with all my kids. It's pretty easy to play. And so I see Motley Hobbies is throwing up X-Wing is a long time ago, and that is true. And X-Wing uses the flight path system, which everybody thinks that is from Fantasy Flight, but it's not.
No, they bought the rights to use the rules and
system, which is essentially what Eris Games uses for Wings of Glory, and it is such an easy game. Whenever I play it, like when we would do game nights here for Wings of Glory, I would tell people, I'm like, I can teach you how to play in 5 minutes, because if you just play basic rules, you can play in 5 minutes. Super easy. I love it. It's a great game.
Yeah, it looks like Todd number 2 agrees with you. He likes Wings of Glory. Yeah. He says he has lots. It's great. He has a lot of fun in it. He's also asking, do we remember Ace of Aces, the dogfighting game?
I don't remember that one, but I will no doubt be exercising my Google Foo as I scribble that one down.
Yeah, this might be one of those episodes where you take some notes to go check on some stuff.
Got a little notepad here. So Spaz said he was recently introduced to Raven Feast. Interestingly enough, so was I. I've got it right here on my notepad on the very top.
And that's basically he's saying Vikings. Okay,
right. So Vikings, which so we probably better just jump in, because there's a lot of historicals.
There's a ton of different time periods. So we mentioned kind of the Greek, Middle Ages, Renaissance. These are kind of the general time periods you see a lot of games of. Civil War. We have World War I, II, and even up into Vietnam. So you have your military, a lot of military, right? It's usually military based historics, Civil War. And I mean, is it basically, you think, just reenactments or playing in that time period?
I think a lot of the times with particularly the Civil War guys, and the only reason I know this is because a lot of them are at Siege of Augusta, and they always seem to be recreating battles. Now, it's not set in stone. It's not like, okay, well, the North won this one or the South won this one, so that's what's going to happen. They just play it out and let the dice fall where they will, but they're usually playing a historical battle Sorry, got to be grammatically correct there. But what we were talking about earlier before we went on was what constitutes it being historical, like time period wise. Because what we were talking about was, you mentioned Vietnam, and I have this super cool game, which some of you guys may know, called Charlie Company. And it's infantry combat in the Vietnam era, 65 to 72. And in my mind, that's a historical game. Does that make, I guess that makes, like, everyone who's listening to us right now, we're all historical, like we're ancient or something, because if that's a historical game, we're all super old. Okay, maybe we should put that one aside. So Saga is a popular skirmish level Viking game, and to slide in a little Viking one too, Ragnarok, although there's that mythical Norse mythology stuff in there as well. But it's a pretty cool system too. But anyway, there's tons of stuff. What else you got? Because I got stuff. You got stuff.
Well, let me rattle off just some examples real quick. So I did a little Google Foo and found a really nice wiki page that just lists tons and tons, and a lot on Osprey. If you want to check out some historicals, they got a lot of books, and you probably got some piled up right there.
I got some right there.
Bolt Action, Flames of War, Tribal, Hail Caesar, Field of Glory, and kind of a favorite of some of our crew is Blood and Plunder. So
Blood and
just
Plunder.
To name a couple. And some of those, like I said, is Osprey, but Warlord Games has a lot of those historical games, whether it's your troops or they got planes, right, and boats and tanks, and whatever kind of, I guess, you want to dive into a little more fine-tuned.
And I'll say this too, for however it appeals to people that listen. So we have a guy who lives reasonably close to me. I see him every year at Siege of Augusta, and he plays Flames of War, but he's a school teacher. And the really nice thing about historical games is, if you happen to work in a school and you want to start a club for the kids,
well, that's right.
Right. There's almost no way you can. How do they say no to a historical game? So that's what he did. And my understanding is, and I'm sure somebody in the comments will correct me on this because I always forget who makes Flames of War. So somebody knows, throw it up there. And they sent him a ton of stuff when they found out that he was doing it through his school and it was a club. They sent it to the school. I'm talking like a lot of stuff to support what he was doing. And every year they go on a field trip to the Siege of Augusta in Augusta, Georgia, to play in a Flames of War tournament. And I'm like, how cool is that, man? If that would have been, if you want to really exercise your nerd in school, we went on a field trip to a gaming convention to play in a tournament where we were playing with tiny plastic men.
There you go, Spaz.
yeah, come on, Spaz. Get with it, man. Get with it. You need to start yourself a club. So I always thought that was really cool. A really cool aspect of historicals is I think it would be much easier to bring in an historical game to a school system like that than it would be like, hey, yeah, we're going to play some Stargrave. And they're like, what? Excuse me? And we're going to learn what from this or X-Wing or any of that stuff. So
yeah, here's a comment from our Twitch channel here. Elton. I think I am not going to say the whole thing, but he's asking about Battlefront. I think that was on our list,
that was the maker of Flames of War. That was the answer.
That's the maker. What am I thinking? I'm thinking. I know what I'm thinking. Something else, but yeah, definitely.
So now you mentioned tribal, but I always thought that this was an interesting historical. And does it really fall into a historical? Because this is basically Primeval is by Mana Press out of Australia. And it's cavemen.
Mm-hmm. But, you don't have your typical modern weaponry. You're using what, bows? They have bows in there, right? And spears.
They do have some ranged stuff in the game.
But I could throw a rock.
I could throw a rock and hit you upside your head. But so that's even another one, and that's kind of I think what really. So like for you and I, when we always talk about games, and you had already always mentioned it, is that alt history is kind of where our appeal is, whether that's apocalyptic or science fiction or Cthulhu, dark, or whatever it is.
It goes back to why we don't get into straight up historicals. And I think you said this before, is you want to escape that reality a little bit, not that we don't like historics, because there are some cool moments in history that a lot of people like to relive those or, kind of reenact.
Right. Absolutely.
Those things.
Absolutely. Spaz is making a Star Breach warband while listening. All right. Well, then it looks like our Indian Invasion shorts are working a little bit. So that's awesome. What else do you have? Did you have anything else groundbreaking? Because I have something that I showed you already that I think is hysterical as a historical.
Okay. You need to share that with the viewers.
I need to share that. Okay.
And, We'll mention it as to anybody that's listening to this later when it goes into audio form.
Yes. So this is a game that I got into. All right. So there was an initial Kickstarter launch, but there was some proprietary stuff and he changed it so that it would work better. And this is a guy we did an interview with, Ian, out of
and he's a historical guy. Doesn't he do reenactments?
He is. He's totally a historical guy. As a matter of fact, he has his main website is Flags of War, which if you play historicals, highly recommend you go over and check out his flags, because when you start doing the historicals, you've got these regiments and every one of them's got to have a specific flag and all of this stuff. And that's part of the fun of a historical, is really fleshing out that stuff. Well, he does those flags, but he also does this right here. Street Wars NYC, 1970s. That's right. 1970s gang banging in New York City. And I think that this is a historical game because as we were discussing, this is 1970s. Guys, that was 50 years ago.
We just made everybody in the chat feel old because I know a lot of them are our age range.
That was 50 years ago, man. Holy cow. But this is a really cool game too. So I encourage you to check that out as well. It's got a descending dice mechanic where you're using your whole polyhedral set. That's right, Todd. Warriors, come out and play. Yay. That's right. Absolutely. And you can kind of do that within the game. You can do some of the Warriors action. It's pretty cool.
And that's a neat game because they're basically using bricks and lead pipes and bats, and it's a lot of melee. The only time you have a ranged weapon come out is when the cops come busted in trying to arrest you,
or if you find a pistol and you shoot it and then the cops show up,
and then they're
good with you beating each other with a pipe, but don't shoot a gun and here they come. So that was pretty fun. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, so let's see, what else did we talk about here? So you got Primeval, Tribal. We talked about lots from Osprey. Oh, here was one
Osprey is great because their books are cheap. What, $20 a book type of thing, and they're
so good, easy
to get into.
So good. Now this one is relatively new. This is Clash of Spears, and Clash of Spears is a skirmish in. Raids and skirmishes in ancient times, so it kind of covers the
Romans and
it's not really pigeonholed into one specific block. You know what I mean? So it's kind of just that ancient times, Bronze Age kind of thing. And it's a really well done book. I haven't played it, but I have seen it played right before it released on Kickstarter when we did. As Alan dubbed it, the Mini Mac Con at Discover Games a while back. Clash of Spears was there before it was released on Kickstarter, and it's a pretty neat game too. Definitely something you should check out. So Elton said, alt history for sure. I like cowboys, but when you add vampires and zombies like Dracula's America, then I'm sold.
There we go.
Hey,
there we go.
You're speaking our language, man. Yep. As we both sit here on our stacks of Dracula's America's books and our Wild West Exodus. So what do we have here? So Tyler says historical. Recreate the creation of the NWO using Rumble Slam. That's historical. That happened. Use Wild West Exodus to do a Back to the Future 3 scenario. I don't know if that's actually historical though. Is that crossing the line? I don't know. Christmas at Nakatomi Plaza, 1988.
Yeah, there's a board game called Die Hard that I've been dying to get. It's probably not that great, but just to have a board game.
Yeah, right. So you can play it on Christmas while you watch Die Hard, right?
While I watch my Christmas movie. That's right. That's right.
This other one I have is, and I haven't played this one yet. I picked this up because they were getting ready to do a second print run, and they only had a couple copies of the original print run. And everyone that listens to us knows that I'm a rule book junkie. I love rule book. And this is Donnybrook, and this is Skirmish Rules 1660 to 1760. So I thought this was pretty cool. It has some pretty simple rules. I have read through the whole thing, and I got to tell you, man, the book, I'm going to show this, even though you guys when you listen on the audio won't be able to. But the book is just, it's outstanding. The quality of the book is just amazing. But again, it's a historical with no real twists on it. So I'm like, it's cool. I want to have it. I've got the book. If I were to ever sit down, I've got plenty of models, and Alder just became my best friend again. That's right. Twisted. That is a historical game because it is in the Victorian era. End of discussion. Yes, absolutely.
That falls in our alt history. You got Tinkerbell in there.
That is not alt history. Did you grow up with Tinkerbell? Peter Pan? See, that's historical. I can make an argument for Twisted being historical. Now I will say this though. On that note, I happen to know that Peter is working on Skirmish Rules, World War II Skirmish Rules. I happen to know that he is. So there would actually be a Demented Games historical if that were the case, and with COVID, with production, stuff like that, it's just slowing everybody's stuff down. So, because I'm still desperately waiting for the new Twisted models to show up in the store so that I can just order all of them at once and paint them all and be excited. And what's going to happen is I know that they're going to put them up on the store at the exact same time that I get my Drowned Earth Kickstarter, where I have all these new Drowned Earth models. I know that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to have this big table full of models, and
I got the stack behind me starting to pile up with the stuff that's starting to show up.
But you still have Kickstarter Drowned Earth stuff to paint.
Yeah.
So Tyler, you got a lot of Twisted stuff yet to be painted. Get some on the table, man. Come on. Monday nights, paint on the desk.
Yep.
Break some of them out. Start painting them.
So you're right.
I was going to say, I'm down to the point on my Twisted models where I'm not motivated to paint them because most of them are like repeat stuff. So I have extra Irken, but I've already painted them. I've got more Bobbies, but I've already painted a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got some more Gentlefolk for my Servants of the Engine, but I've already painted some of them. So it's like I'm painting them again. And I'm like, I don't really want to paint that. I don't really want to paint it again. I already painted it because I feel like when I was painting my Bobbies, I started getting a little orc twitch from painting my orc horde of 40K stuff because I was batch painting. So, and yeah, Alder's right. Star Wars, long time ago. Technically, X-Wing and Legion are historical. I think that's a valid argument.
Let's go on the other side of the coin with alt history. Since one of the things that kind of got my brain going on this subject a little bit was the Silver Bayonet that's coming out. It's a game I'm kind of excited for. That's a war game in Napoleon era, but it's Gothic horror. So very similar to Dracula's America. It's a new game, Offspring, again, by creator of Frostgrave. And this is, you're in the Napoleon era wars, which I know that's a popular historical time period, but you got vampires, zombies, werewolves, and witch hunters. And I'm just like, ooh.
That's terrible. What a horrible thing to add to a game.
So that just kind of got me thinking about historicals and the whole what if, kind of that, like you said, that dark, a little bit of that dark, and like Dracula's America, where it's a Western, but you got some of that creepy crawlies in it. And
kind of that escapism, like we were talking about, where you're unplugging from reality and you're going, you know what? I want my undead Egyptian space robots fighting your warrior armored battle priest space nuns. You know what I'm saying? That's what
that sounds fun to me. I mean, it's the one thing I like about Wild West Exodus and all the dystopian age stuff is, they got a technology that wasn't around, in that time period. So it's like advanced sooner than, what you should be at that time period. And then it brings in those different, I guess you call it sci-fi elements where you get the creatures and stuff. And that's a lot of fun. So it's like,
or what was it? I think it was
Diesel?
Brian said no, because Diesel Punk doesn't really fit either. It's Cowpunk. The Wild West Exodus is Cowpunk.
So I mean, you're getting a taste of that historical,
right?
But you're getting that fantastical too. So it's neat to me to take that historical period that may be cool and then combine in it. Because we love our sci-fi and fantasy and all that stuff. And then if you mash it up with a cool time period, I'm waiting for the Civil War stuff to come along now.
Well, on a sort of sci-fi tangent there, if you guys should go over and check out the Tabletop Engineer on YouTube. He just put up a new video I was watching today that he's building a bunch of terrain for Stargrave, which incidentally, lots of crossover terrain building there for Core Space, for Star Breach, for Zone Raiders, any of those kind of far future science fiction kind of games. He built some really, really cool stuff. I would encourage you to go check out because of the stuff he did today. And Todd said Napoleonic miniatures with military school rule set from the 1800s is what led to D&D. That's right. That's very true. That's 100% true.
That's right.
And Tyler said he's been playing Memoir 44.
That's a good game.
I haven't played that, but I have seen it a number of times. And Todd too says, why play real stuff that you live when you can sprinkle some imagination? I am all for little pixie dust imagination sprinkled across my games. That's right. Now, if I could just get some of that pixie dust to make my models painted when I sprinkle it on them, I'd be doing really good. So, got more raving for Memoir 44.
And I think that one might be out of print right now. So it's kind of hard to find. Yeah, I hear rumors that they're going to reprint it. I don't know if it changed hands and for public, ownership for a publishing house. But yeah, that's supposedly a really good game.
Yeah, I think that I think the longer we do this show, the more you realize that nothing is really that different. At least for me, like there's little elements that I like to have included.
What's your flavor?
Right. And there's little rules I like to have included here and there. But ultimately what it boils down to, if somebody called me up and said, hey, Mac, you want to play a historical game Saturday? I'll bring everything over. I'd be like, yeah. You know what I mean? I wouldn't care. It wouldn't make any difference. Memoir 44. There's some things I don't particularly want to play. We have some local guys in town that like to play Twilight Imperium. But I'm like, I don't want 4 hours for one turn, dude. I'm good.
Yeah, that's an investment for the weekend. Let me tell you. I don't want any part of that too.
Yeah, but I am sure it's fun. And Todd hit it right on the head. It ain't the game. It's who you play with. And that's
so much. Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. We've recorded, Raul and I recorded a couple of battle reports. And I still haven't mastered that yet. And I got to get camera stuff set up so that I can do that. And I still want to add to the channel for Indie Invasion. But what I did discover is how much stuff I had to cut out, because I'm pretty sure, and Alder, you could probably get me on this one because you might be the only other person in the group that's played Twisted. I'm pretty sure I can play a full game of Twisted in an hour, but that video was 3.5 hours long. And I'm pretty sure there was only an hour of gameplay in it because, like Todd said, it was who I was playing with.
Yeah, that's a lot of chit chatting and stuff, and
it was chit chatting. It was laughing about your roles. It was that to me the best game in the world is the kind of game when I'm playing with someone who is across the table from me and is about to make a dumb move. I'll be like, you probably shouldn't do that. You'd be better off if you attacked this guy because your dude will do better against him. You know what? But hamstringing myself really, because what I don't care about the actual end result of the game. I want to win just like everybody else, but I want to tell a story on the table. And I don't care if it's a historical story. I don't care if it's post-apocalyptic. I don't care if it's sci-fi. I don't care what the game. I don't care what the game is on the table. I just want it to tell a story and to enjoy the company and just have fun. That's what we do.
Yep.
That's why we spend all of our money on little tiny men and women and paint them and glue our fingers together and lick paintbrushes and all of these wonderful things that we do.
Well, I don't know if we solved anything about our little historical chat, but it sure was fun. I think we
solved one thing. I think we solved one thing.
Did you get through all your books?
No, we solved one thing. Street Wars NYC is a historical game. That is what we solved.
Yeah, that was last minute for us. We're like,
oh yeah, that fits in there. Totally got to grab that one.
Oh man.
Right?
But that's going to be our show for tonight, guys, for Shorts Indie Invasion. Thanks for joining us. If you guys want to check out the rest of our audio stuff, we are on Podbean, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Stitcher, Spotify, Pocket Cast, Google Play. That's for you, Todd. And many other ones. Any place that carries audio podcasts, you probably find us on there. Also, if you guys want to check out what we got going on our Facebook page, we're always posting pictures up there. You guys can feel free to post up projects that you're working on. paint projects, build projects.
Definitely.
Check us out on Twitter, Instagram, and get on the Discord. We got some good conversation going on there. Starting to get some traction with people having conversation between each other. It's great to see that. And if you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions even for us to check out some new stuff, new games, talk to some different people, send us an email at indieinvasion@gmail.com. And the place to find links to all these places, easy peasy, is the CoastalCon website at coastaltext.com. You can even listen to the podcast on there. We have the audios on there. You just click and go and enjoy. And then we sure appreciate if you visit us at Patreon. We have patreon.com/Indie Invasion. I actually just posted up a little write-up about me and Mac's top 5 skirmish games and solo games with some links to the videos of our shorts episodes that we did on there. Unfortunately, I think when I posted it, it's for Patreon people only. But if you click that support, you can see it. But don't worry. Most of the content on there, if not all, is free to view. You just got to visit and enjoy. But that's about it, guys. This is Eric saying take it easy. And until next time, this is me and Max saying prepare yourselves for the invasion.